Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. Welcome to the Saturday edition of of Disclosure Tonight, and I'm Thomas Fessler, your host, and yes, we have got a great show ahead for you today. It's been one heck of a week. I hope it's your weekend. If not, and you're at work, you're enjoying the program, well then, happy work Saturday. If not, if it's your 2 days off, like a majority of the people out there, whether you're in the United States, United Kingdom, and well, it's already probably Sunday, heading into Australia soon, so I think it already is. But either way, welcome everybody. We've got a great show ahead for you tonight. We are talking tonight about Tim Seanor's encounter that he had in Bainbridge Island. I believe it was back in 2019. Within, I believe it was a week of the incident that had taken place with the USS Russell down off the west coast of California and down by Los Angeles. And it's a subject we've talked about many times. So Tim's got a lot of great pictures, a lot of great details and information that myself and Greg are going to be able to ask him about, but it's about each and every single one of you out there who are watching this broadcast right now as part of our live audience. We like to open up the floor, and if you have questions that you want to ask of Tim during our conversation on this, as always, just please go ahead and put that text in all uppercase and make it a little bit easier for me to go ahead and click on it and bring it up so we can try and queue it up to ask Tim the questions. We're also going to be talking about, if we have time today, about interesting new details that have come out into the space-time modification weapons testing that's been going on by the U.S. Navy over the last couple of years. Talking about, an excess of $450,000, I believe it is, or is it $450 million? We'll go ahead and take a look at it. Either way, there is a ton of cash that's been pushed into this program. We've got a lot of the details coming to us from Brett Tingley over at the debrief. So without any further delay, let's jump across into the audience and turn Gary off, because where's his little button? Because he is out today. Where's he at? Come on. There we go. Anyway, so on that note, let me go ahead and say welcome to each and every one of you in the chat. Yeah, so I know we had, I had to cancel the video I had scheduled for this, and had to if you want to call it, reset it up, because it had the time of when it was going to start totally screwed up when you were viewing it from the website. So just to be, not from the website, from the channel's homepage. So rather than going and risking a lot of people not getting their notifications and the reminder that it's happening, I had to go and mix things around a little bit. On that note, actually, Linda Thompson is here as number 2. But I believe, Linda, you were actually in as number 1 last night. So I'll give it to you. Either way, we've got Cosmic Jerry with a cup of coffee. Well, I've got a big old cup of water, so welcome, Mr. Catfish 2100. Yerp, you are here. Absolutely. We've got Greg O'Brien saying share, and it did remind me to go ahead and share on Twitter. So if you also have that opportunity to go ahead and share this on social media, we'd appreciate it. Any way we can bring in more subscribers, it helps us grow. But Banana Booey, haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for coming back, buddy. Happy Saturday. Eli McGinnis, hello everybody. Watched your Elizondo interview last night. Good stuff. Been watching some older stuff because I'm still a noob here. Well, I'm glad you're going ahead and checking out our back catalog. Yeah, we've been doing it nearly every day since May. So, actually not initially at first, but we picked up every day as we went along. But welcome. I appreciate you going ahead and do that, Eli. Lady Margaret Peggy, happy Saturday. Thanks for coming in, Margaret. Appreciate you being here. Absolutely. Who else do we have out there right now? We've got Xavier Gamer. Welcome, Xavier. Appreciate you coming out here today. We also have Lori Oliphant. Welcome, Lori. Happy Saturday. Thanks for coming in. It's great having you here. Great connecting with you. Absolutely. We've got Spaced Out Radio. Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome, Dave. Appreciate you coming out, spending some of your Saturday time on us with us today. But today, I'm Greg O'Brien's hat. Yes, Greg probably has a hat on, so there you go. Hi back at you, Linda, saying hi to me, to Greg, and to Dave. Doesn't know that Tim's also here, but she should. Who else? Jan is here. Welcome, Jan. Thanks for coming out today. I appreciate it. Ocean Odell. Hi, everybody. Hi back at you, Ocean. Thanks for coming out tonight. Absolutely. We also have too much information. Well, can you ever have too much information when it comes to the phenomena? If it's not exactly accurate to a degree, there could be too much information. But if we're talking about accurate information, I would say there is never enough evidence out there, or too much of it. Thanks. I think Jan is wishing back and saying hi to Tim. And I think that's everybody. Happy Saturday, everybody. Let's go ahead and clear off the chat and get on my glasses so I can do one little thing here. Where is that at? It was over here. Oh, here we go. Let's make this happen as I get ready to bring in our team. Let's make it happen. Well, our first panelist tonight is none other than Tim Seanor with his own YouTube. Tim's not on here. Where he is. Tim Seanor, as an independent video producer with his own YouTube channel focused on the phenomena, Tim is also an experiencer with close encounters of the first and fifth kinds. Something we're going to be taking a look at today. We're really excited about that. While he may be mistaken for Howie Mandel, let's welcome Tim Seanor. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you coming in here today. Yeah, Greg is going ahead and clapping, and that's right. I need to get the some crowd cheers coming in for you. I appreciate you coming here absolutely today. Coming up next, with his own YouTube channel focusing on the phenomena, Greg has been a regular on our panel for some time. As a child, Greg had a close encounter of the first kind with his father, opening up his mind to the world of the UFO phenomena, while he's also known to enjoy a nice meringue. Let's welcome Greg O'Brien. Thanks for coming out here tonight, Greg. It's great having you out here today. Yeah, I got to have some fun with it. It's part of the show. But wait, we've got something else going on that I actually have to jump back to the songs and...
Yeah, man, you're cooking and serving tonight. I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to do it. Oh, we got a couple coming in. Sheesh. $5 Canadian coming in from Dave over at Spaced Out Radio. Told you, I'm Greg O'Brien's hat. So, welcome, Greg, and your hat. Thanks for coming in here tonight.
Thanks, Dave.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. You got to have some fun with it. Not only do we have that, and Dave has a live stream on Monday through Friday, right after we finish off, and it's Spaced Out Radio. And if you guys haven't had the opportunity to go ahead and head out to Spaced Out Radio, it's a great place to take the chat with it. And I believe he does have other hosts who are on the weekend. So check the schedule, see if it's something you're up for, and maybe I'll see you over there. Who else do we have? Another super chat coming in from Dry Toast. No, 3 out of 4 aliens prefer dry toast when eating humans. I guess that must be the reptilians. Or is that the Gary's not here, but they may be called the erectilians. You never know. Let's see. Dry toast. Nothing goes better with disclosure than dried toast. Dry toast is one of those ingredients that when you add it to the mix of disclosure, it really takes us to the next level. And if you don't know that Dry Toast is a very special personality, when we want to welcome Dry Toast to the show. Thanks for coming in, Dry Toast, and I appreciate your donation to the channel. Dang, we're getting going here today. Brandy Phillips also showed up. Hello, beautiful people. Thanks for coming in, Brandy. I appreciate you being here. Absolutely. The Quick also made it. Welcome too much. Welcome, The Quick. Made it super cool. Absolutely. Thanks for coming in today. Let's go ahead then, if we can, go back to the reset. And for the main reason that we're here right now is to talk about Tim and his encounter with multiple UAPs over Washington, I believe. And you also saw a portal at that time. Let's go ahead and where do you want to start this off, Tim? Do you want to start it with a map, or which I probably don't have?
Yeah, I gave you a map.
Oh, I know. I'm going to find it right now.
I'll just start with the story of the day, and once the photos come into play, you can start putting them up. And I numbered them all, and they'll just go in order.
Why not? I've already got them there. I just want to have something up on the screen when you're going and describing this. I know it's in downloads. Cool. Is where it's at. So image0.jpg. Gotcha. Please let me add it here. It's perfect. All right. So Tim, let me give you the stage here and let you get into this.
Awesome. Cool. So let's go ahead and start back. It was July 5th of 2019. And it was around 2:00 in the afternoon.
And you're at
that day.
And you're at Bainbridge Island, right?
Correct. So this is Bainbridge Island, which is directly across the Puget Sound from Seattle.
Right.
On this map here, you can see there's a little dot right above Port Blakely, and that dot is Rockaway Beach. And that beach is literally a stone's throw from my parents' house.
Yes, absolutely.
Which looks towards Seattle. And
right.
They're kind of up on the top of the hill. So they have a regular view of the skies in which this event took place.
Just to bring in a little bit of a live map here, we can go ahead and take a look. Just from a zoom out in the world, in the United States, you're kind of near Seattle. You're on the west coast of the United States. So as we zoom into, where was that again?
Rockaway Beach, Bainbridge.
Bainbridge Island. And I believe you were kind of close down in this one particular part right here.
That's correct.
Yeah. So interesting area in the Seattle area. I just live, north of you to a degree.
Also notable is where Bangor is, which is almost 10 miles as the crow flies.
So you were kind of over here, and Bangor Island is what we're talking about, is kind of over here in this place. And what's special about Bangor, if I go ahead and turn on satellite, you can see on the west coast of Bangor, there is a Bangor Trident base. And all of these little, if you want to call it little bumps in the ground, each one of those are individual, if you want to call it facilities for the storage of nuclear weapons. At this particular base, they have a newer section they've put in over here. They've got an older section that's now even kind of wooded going around it. But the interesting part is there are over 1,100 nuclear missiles stored at this location, of which a lot of those missiles do have multiple warheads each. So 1,100 in total. But there's a lot more than that, potentially damaging. And you know how UAP likes the phenomena, so you can see you're not that far from it at all. So continue, sorry.
No, that's really helpful to establish the location and the relevance of the base being there. I think you may need to turn my volume up. I think your audience is having perhaps a hard time hearing me a little bit.
Well, let me take a look and see. Guest 2, go ahead and talk, Tim.
Yeah, and so again, so July 5th was a special day to be at the beach because it was the lowest tide of the year for that year. And so my family was interested in going and scavenging around on Rockaway, because you can get to caves and things that are kind of around that area that you're normally not able to get to, and it's just a lot of fun. So
yeah, and we call that a king's tider, I believe, around here.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So that day in particular, my wife and I had stayed back at my parents' house to kind of tidy up after lunch and prep for an early evening dinner. And so it was myself and my wife and my middle son that were all kind of staying back at the house. He wasn't into going to the beach, so he stayed. As it ventured towards 2:00, I thought I would go ahead and get my truck and take it down to Rockaway and help gather up my family to bring them back up to the house, because they'd taken 2 vehicles, but there was actually like 9 people down there.
Now, is that what you say? It's Rockaway Beach?
Yeah, you can do a little search for Rockaway Beach.
Sure, yeah.
And it's going to be on the east side of the island.
Oh, there you go. So you were right over here. I got you. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. And so went ahead and hopped in my truck and drove down to Rockaway and parked along the edge of the road there where there's a little strip of parking. And I made my way down the little path to the beach area. As I approached the beach, my parents were seated. My mother and father were seated on a bench, kind of up on a bluff overlooking the beach out towards Seattle.
So your parents were kind of out looking up in the trees that we can't see kind of right now.
Yeah, it would be a little more to the right here. If you shoot a little more. There's an area
I see it right up there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got this house with the pink roof and everything kind of here, and you
right.
got the rock walls, and yeah.
Yeah, and further up on the island there is where my parents' house would actually be.
So where were you at? Am I kind of in a good area right in here?
That's a great area.
Gotcha.
Actually, that kind of describes it very well.
Got a staircase coming down, it looks like, maybe, or it's just a retaining
little parking
wall.
Area.
And you're kind of on the beach.
It's kind of a hard perspective.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to work it out here. Give me a second here.
Yeah. That's a little north, a little further north than we were.
I'm too north now at this point?
I feel like it, yeah.
Okay. That's at the end of the point, the Bill Point.
Yeah, that's Bill Point. So go ahead and just, wherever Rockaway is, that's the exact spot that we were.
Right here.
Yep. Perfect.
Gotcha. Sorry, this is just trying. I was down here before.
Always drop properly. But...
Dang it! Don't do that. No. I want to get down.
It's all really cool because it gives you a feel of what it's like there. So this is great.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Is take the scene as far as you can see. You've got Mount Rainier off in the distance. You're right across from downtown Seattle.
I mean, that's pretty perfect right there.
Yeah,
that is like the view we had of the day.
Yeah.
So I parked my vehicle and ventured towards my family. My parents were seated on a bench on a bluff overlooking
further
the beach.
Down, yeah, the other way.
And just as I approached my parents there, I noticed my sister and her husband and their son and two daughters. And then my oldest boy and my youngest daughter were all venturing up the beach towards me because they were done.
Yeah.
And so my attention was on them.
So were they coming from the point towards you?
Yep, they were leaving and they were facing me coming.
So there's that pink house where it's kind of where your parents may be up on the bluff seeing things. You're kind of down here over on Rockaway, and they're walking down the beach towards you then.
Did we establish the time of day?
It was 2 o'clock that I arrived there. The event took place at 2:07.
Yeah. Okay.
So, or it finished at 2:07.
Yeah.
Actually. So as they were approaching me, my attention was on my family towards the water.
Right.
And my mother stood up and pointed kind of over my shoulder towards northern Seattle.
Towards North Seattle, over here. You got Seattle off to your left here.
Yep.
And then North Seattle would be about over here.
Correct.
I'll make it.
So,
I mean, Mount Rainier is a little bit further off to the right, but it was you're kind of pointing off in that general direction. Either way, you're looking out.
And as she pointed, she said, "Did you hear that?" And I said no, and didn't really pay attention because I hadn't heard anything and I didn't know what she was talking about. And I was kind of focused on my children coming up. Mm-hmm. And as she said that, my sister's son pointed up into the air and said, "Oh, look, a saucer." And obviously we were kind of like, what? And drew my attention to the space where my mother was pointing, and
up here in the sky, if I bring up your first image, or even, I've even got, I think you've got an image at no, you don't have an image on the end with it. Well, yeah, actually you've got an image without anything.
Yeah, that's
number 4.
Oh, that's good to establish.
But gives you a look. So if we're going between there, if we go back to this is, what you're kind of seeing, it's you're looking a little bit further up for that matter. But then if you actually take that, let's overlay a picture, that's kind of where you're at, where you've got the northern part of Seattle in view, kind of looking up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so, right. And so sure enough, there was a gray, silver or gray disc shaped object just sitting static in the sky.
Nice.
At which point I was like,
and it was just
wow.
stationary hanging out there, right?
Mm-hmm. And I reached for my phone and realized I didn't have my phone. So I made a quick dash back up to my truck, which was probably 50 to 100 meters then back, and came back to the exact spot where I had been standing before and brought my camera up and fired off the first photograph, of which that will correlate with slide number 1.
Right.
And so I've done some cropping here.
Yeah.
And then in the one that your cursor is on, I did some color correction to see if I could bring out some detail.
Okay.
But that is a fair description, fair look at what I was looking at, just sitting in the sky. Okay, and so as I'm taking that photograph, I'm actually looking in my camera. I look back and the object is no longer there. It had moved further away from us. And so I reestablished my lens and tried to get because I couldn't see the object in my camera at the time, I tried to establish my frame around the cloud that I knew it was near. So I was just photographing the cloud in the next 4 photographs because I was chasing the object. I would see it with my naked eye, but I wouldn't see it in my camera. And it's also an issue with my vision, but I would photograph the cloud that I knew it was near. So in the next photograph,
number 2,
you can see a little bit of my attempt at zooming in person on that object. And I think you may have it cropped there.
Oh, sorry about that. There you go.
There we go. Excellent. And so, again, I had some enhancement going on. At this point, this is really, after the first photograph, I noticed that there was something going on with the object other than just the disc. There seemed to be a spark or sparkle that seemed to dance around the object. And it did it in a way where it would be at 9 o'clock, then it would be at 5, and then it would be up, like at 3 o'clock on the object, and then suddenly it would be like not there, and then
was it a pattern at all?
Not that I noticed.
Or was it?
It seemed completely random, and my mother described it as a hummingbird hovering around a flower, how it'd be there and then suddenly it'd be over here and then it'd be up here and then over here, and it would be perpendicular. And then at the same rate, I was noticing that it wasn't so much a spark as a little white object.
Gotcha.
A little cylindrical white object that would travel perpendicular. It would be angular. It was always pointing in the same direction around it. But the glint that I was getting off of it could have been a trick of the light, or I'm not really sure, but it was definitely a white object that I could see with my naked eye, as well as in the lens, in the photos later. And so this is photograph 2. In the next photograph, this is where the object was skirting back and forth, and it actually changes its location. It's moved forward, and in this photo you can see that it's actually,
you can see right here if you've got the water tower in the distance that we've got going right here, and you take that as a going up. As we go to the next image, the water tower is here, and you can see it's gone from left to right.
Yeah, and this is me going click, 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 and an interesting way that this moved was, I've kind of described it as shuddering, or kind of like a dotted line would look on a page, like you would see it and then it would be gone, then you would see it and then it would be gone. And in some of the photos that we're going to look at, you don't see anything in one of the photos. And that definitely signifies that it, it appeared to, like, phase in, phase out. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like a checkerboard. It was scurried, like it would be there and then gone, there and then gone. And when the disc would not be visible, the other object would not be visible either. So my assumption was that either my frame rate wasn't in sync or something along those lines, because whatever those objects
Well, you're
were
on
doing
an older
and how they were
iPhone,
traveling.
right?
It was an iPhone 6.
Yeah, but the display rate on that is 60 frames per second at the it may be lower if it's an iPhone 6, not sure where it is. And we know a lot of times these things do move in a manner where they are difficult to go ahead and pick up, because unless you're going at a really high frame rate of like 240 frames a second, a lot of times it's not going to be able to pick it up. Greg?
I was just wondering, at any point, did you get any of the hummingbirds? Pictures of the hummingbirds around the craft? Like, because these are the craft you're describing, but the hummingbirds are like.
Oh, I think we haven't
around.
just gotten there yet.
I mean yeah, and it's okay to call it a white cigar or Tic Tac, because that's what I have been calling it.
Okay.
My
No,
mom
right now this
described how
is
it
still the
acted as a
saucer though,
hummingbird.
right?
Yeah, this is the saucer. And so you can see it in the very first shot. In slide number 1, you can see it, and I didn't realize it at the time, but there's a little bit of white off in the raw. Yeah.
Okay, let me actually do this. I'm not gonna crash, I promise. This is a great tool I have for doing image analysis. I'll bring it up. This is, I believe, 8 times over. So if you've got the craft right there, you're talking about where is the white?
Yeah, it would be really tight in close to it. You can kind of
right.
make it out. It looks dark in this, although it was a light. And so just look to the right of it slightly.
Yeah, there is like a little.
It's really hard to make out.
Yeah.
And so
Off
it's
to the
at
right, there is
so
one
if
pixel.
this was the saucer, it's like that in this image.
Yeah.
You'll get a much better look at it here shortly, Greg. Sure. Yeah.
Where next, Tim?
Pardon?
Where do you want? Which photo do you want next?
Great. So you can take a quick another look at slide number 2, and in the enhanced image, there's something going on the top that isn't in the other photos.
It's over here. Go ahead.
And then just up and to the right,
Actually, let me take this.
There's
down to
a little bit of
over. Let's take it down to 3
another
times
hint.
over. There you go. So there's the enhanced version of it, and you've got clearly something with it's picking up 4 with something in the center, and then you're also kind of seeing something that's maybe off to the right of it. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Correct.
Okay.
Dark spots being colder than the white spots?
Well, no, this isn't thermal, so this is just optical.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why the white object looks dark sometimes in my images, but it does. Trick of the light. I don't know, because it's very clearly white in most of the photos when you get a good look at that Tic Tac.
Right.
So we can skirt forward to number 3, and so at this point, between 3 and 4, I'm looking at the clouds and I'm photographing it. I look up and I would photograph. And then for number 4, I looked up and I photographed, got it up. And at the same time that I took number 4, my dad over my right shoulder says, "Oh, what's this down here now?" And so I kind of dragged my attention down to where he was looking, and the object had stopped again. And this time it was very clear that the cigar-shaped object was, oh, well, okay, this is great. So this is actually a photograph I included that shows absolutely nothing in the area, because whether my finger wasn't fast enough or it was, in a different sync to my camera lens, there was nothing in this image at all. So the objects do not appear in this image. Right. Even though I saw it with my naked eye, I photographed it near the cloud I saw it near, and it's not in the photograph at all. And I've done all kinds of enhancements. I can't see anything
it's
in
basically, it's one of those things, it's there in one frame, you're not getting it in the other. And if it's just, it's great that you include evidence like that. Kind of shows what people may be getting when they're trying to go ahead and photograph stuff.
Right. And MUFON found this pertinent. So, okay, so my dad's attention had been drawn to that spark, stopping and being very obviously just hovering with the disc. And this is where the story takes a turn that is a little hard to wrap our heads around, and you just have to kind of suspend your disbelief. I know I do. This was at the time I heard a sound, and I can liken it similarly to how my mother described the original sound she'd heard. And she likens it, my mother's description was when you stretch saran wrap, it kind of has like that sound of plastic or elastic stretching
at a tension,
in a metallic way. That was her description. When I heard the sound that my dad and the rest of our family actually heard, it sounded to me kind of like the sound of a balloon expanding, but without being able to hear the air going in, just the sound of the rubber expanding, but again, in a more metallic way.
Gotcha.
It's the closest I can liken it to. And at the time that I was hearing that, the Tic Tac appeared to fire a thin white thread-like beam and open a square white box that appeared to us to almost be three-dimensional.
So kind of what you saw was
white light.
You would have seen, if you had the Tic Tac here, you see something extend from it visually. It looked like it was a beam or something that went, and a beam of light like a laser would be instant. But what you saw was actually something beaming, building and going out and extending out, right? And then
it looked almost like a net. It looked like a net opening, but kind of, quickly. It was quick. It wasn't laser fast, but it was quick, and it opened, and it had defined edges. Like it did seem like that white box had depth to it. And so as soon as that happened, it appeared like something dark either entered or exited that white box. And I don't know if it was entering or exiting, because I only saw a dark shape move through the light. But it was so quick, it was hard to tell visually if it was coming in or out.
Yeah.
I have an assumption after, because in my following photographs, and if you'd like to move on to slide number 5, we can go ahead and take a look at that action I just explained.
Right, absolutely. Number 5. All right, cool. Here we go.
Okay, so this is actually still it shuddering towards, but you can see the Tic Tac lingering behind here.
Yeah.
So this is the last photograph I took before my dad got my attention to move further to my right. So in the enhanced, you can definitely see the Tic Tac lingering behind. It's not a great photo, but it definitely describes what we were seeing. And then in slide, I guess it would be 6. This is where,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can see something either exiting or entering in this photograph.
So what's on the bottom and what's on the top?
Okay, so the top is the cigar-shaped object, and it's hard to see, but there is actually a line that is connecting them between the corners that are nearest to each other.
Gotcha.
And in
So
in the unenhanced on the right, that's it. That's actually the best way to see it. It's very vague, but you can just make it out.
Where it's pulling almost, yeah, up on the yep.
yeah, there's a darkness kind of going between 6. There, it's hard to see, but there is a darkness. There it is, kind of there right now. Let's go down to 5 to kind of show between it. There is something that's kind of going between the two. It's dark. It's not light, but yeah.
I was amazed that my camera captured this. I mean, you know.
So it wasn't shooting at
with
something
these.
in front of it. It was coming out the side of the Tic Tac, you would almost say.
Yeah. I mean, that is, with the naked eye, it was much more obvious. But I also have to tell you that light that you're looking at was a life changer for me, because I spent a lot of time staring into that light. This whole series of photos from beginning to end was just around 2 minutes.
Wow. Oh.
And the beginning portion was probably 15 seconds.
Right.
So this was actually open and static in the sky for a significant amount of time, because once it closed, they left quickly, and we'll get to that. But go ahead, Greg.
Yeah.
Now he just changed the picture, but were those
I'll look at the
rocks
picture about that
in
in a
the
second,
picture, or was that just, or those homes? What, where the trees can? Never mind, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah,
Here we
see,
go.
are those rocks? Yeah, are those rocks or homes down there? Any homes down in that area?
Yeah, those are all houses.
Okay.
People live
Right.
below this.
Right.
This is
So-
a heavily populated area. Although
Wow.
this was probably right over it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
in my
That's what it
estimation.
seems like.
Now, and kind of what you're talking about, Tim, of what you see when you see something, feel like you saw something kind of open up, stuff come out of it. And the first thing that comes to mind is called the Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is literally, it's a wormhole kind of a thing, a tear in the fabric of our reality that allows things to pass from one place to another, whether that's coming in this case, maybe from someplace else in the universe, or potentially another dimension. But it's some method of being able to either, it could even, honestly, it could even be an Einstein-Rosen bridge to another part of our planet. They can go anywhere. So
Right. And I
back to your
feel like
image.
it's significant, the timing of this.
Yeah.
It was just a few days before what Jeremy Corbell had released. And so it was just the synchronicity. And that is why I came out so strongly with it, because I felt it could potentially be related.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was taking place in this photograph is not, I don't know. I am assuming. I can tell you exactly what I saw, but I'm not saying that this is a wormhole, and I'm not saying that these are UFOs or Tic Tacs. I'm just assuming, because of how they moved and how convincing the evidence is to me. I mean, I thought I should at least share it with everyone for them to determine it based on the story.
Tim, if we were to generify it, what we could say that you saw multiple UAP. Actually, you saw a UAP go ahead and do something that opened something up that you saw that wasn't there before. Things flew out of it and it closed down.
Right. And so, bearing that in mind, this photograph kind of, in you can see them in all of them, but especially in the enhanced. And I was really happy with the enhanced, because you can see what we saw with our naked eye, which is something exiting there, a dark shape that I have a better photograph of coming. But in my following photographs, there are going to be 2 silver discs, a Tic Tac, and what I believe to be a pyramid-shaped object that is around the same size as the saucer.
Interesting.
Objects.
Did you ever get a feeling that you could fit a whole world through that, I guess, portal? Like, if need be, did you get the feeling that was kind of like that was it? It was just enough to open, like, say if there was like, I just wonder if it
Right.
fit the craft or not, or is that just what you got, or any kind of
It
feelings
felt
on that?
very specific to its needs.
Okay.
I mean, it gave just the right amount of space for whatever happened there. Something could have gone in and something else, it could have been an exchange, because it kind of seemed like that, but there were more objects after, so I'm more confident that something came out than something going in.
Yeah.
And so, we can come back to any of these if your audience or anybody has questions. I'm happy to come back and explain, because there are other little nuances that I breeze by. But if you'd like to go to the next
Let's just go ahead and do a
photograph.
couple things. I'm going to go
Sure.
ahead and do a recap for anyone who's coming late, wants to understand kind of what we're doing and what we're going through here and how we're doing our conversation on this. Then when we're going to come back, I want you to, I can hear a difference in your voice when you're talking about this than the usual Tim that I know. And if it's all right, I like to, kind of get where you're at, because I understand that feeling that people go through when you sometimes are talking about stuff. So if anyone who has gone and joined us late, we are having a conversation with one of our regular panelists. I guess I don't have that right here. Tim is not here. What the heck? Oh, wrong one. There we go.
It's not here, man.
Reset. Here we go. We are talking with one of our panelists, Tim Seanor, who has been on here for several months now. And start off in our conversation, he was talking about his multiple UAPs, along with a portal encounter that he had on Bainbridge Island going back in 2019, about a week from the USS Russell incident. It's an amazing kind of a thing that's going on that he's talking about. It's something we've been wanting to go ahead and talk for a long period of time. But this is something we're kind of going through the conversation, and Tim's telling a story. I know Christine is trying to say I'm talking too much with you. I'm just trying to look at this as an investigator would, as someone who's going and, really getting into the details of the situation that you've gone through, Tim, because we all see things differently, whether it's me or people in the audience and everything. And as we're going through it, I'm just trying to bring out the additional details and stuff that may or may not have come out in other conversations, and bring up images and walk our way through it, because we've been a team here for a while, and it's a great opportunity that you can go ahead and, be a part of this and share this experience and get the overall conversation going. And that's one thing. I welcome everybody. David H. Altman just came in. Welcome, David. Our Ranch Airgun Fun channel has come up in as well. Xavier Gamer. Thanks for coming in, everybody. High Strangeness has been around since the beginning. Christine, I tried to give you an idea of how we're trying to have this conversation here today. And hopefully, have you been seeing as positive, Tim?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Would you see our conversation we've been having about this as a positive conversation?
It's really helpful to have you narrate along with me. It brings out more detail. So yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And I'm just trying to add in some different, if you want to call it, stuff that comes around it, so everybody has an idea of kind of where we're at. I believe Jay Breezy 007 may have not been here at the start, but either way, I want to welcome Jan and Patrick Fogarty, and Terry Hall came in as well. I want to Robin Hood 1966 also showed up a bit late. Thanks to everybody for coming in here today. It's a happy Saturday, and let's get back to the conversation with Tim. And
just a quick aside, I'd love to thank your audience. You have a lot of supportive people in your audience that make it a little easier to talk about this, because Thomas, I don't know if you and I would ever have really met if this hadn't happened to me, because this is not a topic I've ever been interested in. But when my family had this happen, it was so important that, I needed to hand walk this story out to the public. And so that's why I'm here all the time, and that your audience knows me is because of this event.
And honestly, I can tell it isn't easy for you to talk about some of this, because I can hear in your voice
I'm really
is just
shaking
it's
inside.
more stress. It's a bit more shaky. You're a bit more quiet than you usually are, because it's. I guess we can talk later, but it's clearly had a lasting effect on you, and the same reason that If I didn't have my experiences starting when I was 5, going on for at least 3 years, if not longer, I wouldn't be here either. There's a lot of us who come together because our involvement in the phenomena, and if I want to call it our quest or our wanting to know more and bring more out about it and understand our picture in the big scope of things, what came from that one moment and the things that come with us, maybe for the rest of our lives.
You and I talked briefly about things that trigger us, you know, and this image that you have up triggers me in a huge way. I could get very emotional because of just looking at it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the understanding of what it is. It's more of like kind of that, you know, that subtle connection you have with the case, you know. So,
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so into the next photo, if you guys want to dive into it, that is where the story also takes an interesting turn, because in this next photograph, the Tic Tac starts to recoil that box back up into itself.
Yeah.
And the way it does it is it kind of sweeps below it. And we could see it do this visually. It swept below, and the laser line that's connecting to that box started to recoil it back into the Tic Tac, and it, as if it was a net, it just got sucked back up into the little white Tic Tac object,
Extending like a
in the
net.
next photograph.
I just have to bring that up because it just, you know, I'm a
Yeah.
visual person, and that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Because if you
I
think
mean,
when
it
you go and you
literally
throw a
looked
net, you
like-
cast the net out, it gets bigger and everything, and then you pull it back, it all collapses back. Wow, this is awesome. This is
Exactly.
fascinating to say the least. I think Jan's right up
I
there
must
with us as
also
well.
comment, do you guys like my little icon I created?
Yeah, I
Anonymous
saw
Rex
that.
Yeah.
riding a Tic Tac.
That's all. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Now, just one more question on this photo. Did it feel like the tear, and I guess the tear or whatever, was in the sky, or was it like in the middle of like the air?
That movie
Does that
name
make
is already
sense?
taken.
Yeah, no, this appeared visually and photographically as a three-dimensional box of extremely bright light that it didn't hurt our eyes to look into, but it was almost like as powerful as looking into the sun, but without hurting your eyes. But it definitely had hard lines to it. It was obviously, very obviously, not a tear in the sky so much as a created three-dimensional box, a large white three-dimensional box of light is my best description.
Yeah.
And it definitely, I mean, there was a feeling to it as well, Greg, you know, like that I think my whole family was aware of at that time. And we can get into that because that's, you know, that's the emotional part of this for us. But yeah, I can get into describing that at some time with you. Might even be just like another time though, because it is
Fantastic.
hard to talk about that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us something to talk through about on a follow-up or even after the show sometimes.
Yeah.
So we're on
So,
picture 6. We got-
Yeah, picture 6. So this is going to be the image of the portal recoiling into the Tic Tac, if you want to bring that one up, and we can
Number
talk
7?
about how that works.
Actually, number 7. There we go. So it goes from
Okay.
6.
Yeah, and so this is great because obviously there was 2 minutes of this, and so this is where it was lingering. Again, something could have been entering or exiting out of that.
Right.
And then there's one where it's very, very, the next photograph is really very obviously.
You can see it's still there. Well, there's at least what I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
and I don't know if the other objects, for whatever reason, I could not enhance them into this photograph.
Well, I can do that right now. Let's go ahead. You've got the picture
yeah.
there. I'm going to go ahead and take that picture we're looking at right there. We're going to go to it.
And so the Tic Tac should be right where your cursor is, but we it's very far away.
Yeah, well, it's,
can
if you want to
just
call
make
it, if
it
you look
out.
at right where it says Greg O'Brien, the name in it, I have it
It's parallel
centered
with
right up there because I wanted to be able to go ahead and show there it is. If I go to increase the magnification a little bit more, the tic tac is still there, but it's just a little bit further out or whatever it is for the light. And that that, if you want to call it that light that you've got there, that overall square thing,
Yeah.
just looks nuts.
Yeah.
That is just some amazing stuff, Tim.
Yeah, and you can see that it appears that things are entering, exiting. I mean, I don't know the number because there was I'll just say it, it was mesmerizing. And by mesmerizing, I mean, like, I was lost in it. And other family members described it that way. So I had to remind myself to take the photographs you're looking at. I was kind of just sitting there looking at it,
Right.
with my naked eye. And I'd kind of pull my phone up without breaking my visual gaze and take a photograph. But it was very muscle memory taking a picture.
Yeah.
I don't remember taking all of the photographs, and there are photographs I take after the event that I don't remember taking.
If I could reply to a coin exchange really quick, he says, Thomas, I think Tim may have seen a phase light cone, but who knows what he saw. I know it sounds like a portal or something. Whatever it is, it's a box that's there, and there are things that are coming out of it. It's what UAP use to phase selective areas, especially during abductions. Interesting. What else did he say on that? Where did it go? Here we go. People usually call it a blue-white light. Now, I do remember a really white light, but it was really soft. And like what you're saying, it's really, really bright, but it doesn't hurt your eyes.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
something like Linda mentioned a magnesium light, if you look at that, that's really bright, and it can damage your eyes. For some reason, I totally relate with you in stuff that's so bright, but it doesn't hit you the way normal light does.
Right. Right. So let's go ahead and snap on to the next photo where we show it recoiling so that people can get a good idea of the entire case. And then if you'd like to, we can zip back through it. And so this is where the Tic Tac has dipped down below, and it's unzipping that thing or recoiling that thing back into itself. And again, we don't see the discs in anywhere at this point. And I don't know whether
you don't know, just don't know where the heck they may have gone. That's the thing.
I don't.
Whether they went
but
to
they
the thing or they went off to do something else completely. All it is, it's almost,
Right.
it's kind of like, how do you put this? It was a group of ships, a fleet of ships, whatever it was. And you had ships of different types. And if they were going on some kind of an operation where they're doing something, we need, one of these ships that can do this. We need the other saucer thing that can do this. We need the other little ones that are going to come in, and they're going to have that part in the mission, whatever they've got going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can barely see it, but if you want to try looking at the raw photo, you might be able to see the tether or light beam.
All right, let me go ahead and bring that up. We can.
Because I do recall making it out at one point on my computer.
Yeah, I can go ahead. I've got image processing apps, but they're different from the old Photoshop. I remember a long time ago. So I can probably go ahead and do some manipulation, inversion, and other kinds of stuff on the images and see what I can do to pull it out. But it's just not a facility I have right now.
And Thomas, honestly, the sighting was really only half the story.
I know.
So there we are. That's the
And
object.
what's the last one you've got?
This is the final photo. And so there was a disc that you can barely make out. It's to the right of this object, but this is the enhancement of the triangle pyramid-shaped object that I believe was ejected through that portal. That is one of the triangles. or one of the objects, I'm sorry, because I only saw one triangle and two discs and one tic tac through this whole sighting.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's in just in the photo itself. I think I'm where you're at in the photo and everything. If I bring it in and just look at the other photo without doing any kind of modification or anything coming into it, I think you're down around in there, and that's what you're kind of picking up. There, you've got that one small cloud that's in the top. If I pop down a magnification, you're kind of like right here. You've got
Right
that
there,
other
just-
piece, and then you've got this dark thing that's kind of down
It's
where
at
my
about 8
mouse
o'clock.
cursor is.
About 8 o'clock from that cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if I pop in 8 times, you can kind of see that dark area right by the upper left corner of your image right there in the live stream.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
you've done to go ahead and pull out this image here in the enhancement.
And so that was also visible with our naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
We saw them cluster together and shoot off into the distance.
Right.
And and that was the end of that sighting.
Interesting.
But again, a week later, an object that looked incredibly like this was photographed and filmed by the Russell.
Oh, wait a second.
It was the USS Russell.
I actually missed something
And
here.
then released by Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, we actually got a super chat came in. I'm not doing my job here, folks.
Oh, thank you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. And what we've got here is we've got a super
Scott
chat
Johnson.
for £17.99. £17.99 coming in from Scott Jensen. No message or anything, just $17.99. Thanks, Scott Jensen. We appreciate the super chat coming in and showing your support for the show. We try to have a quality broadcast and put everything together here. And I'm so grateful for Tim to be able to come out today and to be able to, where's that at? Talk about, there we go. Be able to talk about his encounter. We're only halfway through the conversation, I think. Maybe we'll talk about it now. We'll see if Tim's up for it or not. But yeah, this is only half the story because it gets better. Thank you again, Scott. We appreciate it. Tim, I'll give you the floor again.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to say at this point, once this event stopped, I was perhaps the first or second to kind of come back to the moment with my family. And I remember looking over at my mom and dad, who were still looking off into the distance, trying to see them. And then I noticed my youngest son was kind of struggling a little bit. And so I went down and kind of aided them, bringing them up and kind of just trying to reassure my younger ones like that, it's not a saucer, like, just because there was a little bit of insecurity in the air. And so along the way back, I don't remember doing this, but I photographed the base of some bushes, just like near the ground. And I photographed the wheel well of my truck.
Yeah, you were out of a bit, it sounds like.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of were, because I ended up driving my sister back in my truck with my two little ones.
Right.
And she decided not to drive.
Yeah.
And my mom drove, but she usually drives. Anyways, the family went back to the house in a different way than we kind of normally would. And I guess I'll leave that there on that.
Quick thing, if I could, Tim. Just as a quick reminder to everyone who's watching the show right now, we have 23 likes and 41 people watching the show. So if you enjoy the show, you like hearing what we're doing, do us a favor and go ahead and reach down and reach out and hit that thumbs up and give us one, because it helps us get more traction and more shares on YouTube. It can help us bring more people in our audience in. And if you are watching, you haven't subscribed, and you actually enjoy this broadcast and our channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. We could use you as one of our valued subscribers. Back to you, Tim.
So my family members are all really interesting people. So none of us were believers or interested in this topic. My sister was in the Army and was a general's aide and helped run a hospital when she was in the Army. And her husband was in the Navy and ran computer systems for them, and now works security for Amazon in Seattle. Their children are all in college or college grads now, and in either health or in science. My mother had her doctorate in science and taught science to elementary school children her entire career. My father got started with his PhD in chemistry and worked for Chemstrand in North Carolina and then Xerox in New York his entire adult life, working in polymer technology, which is the science of rubber and its static conductivity. And these are people that don't look up in the sky and not know what they're looking at. They live in this area and are completely familiar with what flies in the skies. They know all of the air traffic because they see it all the time whenever they look out their windows. And this was nothing like what we'd seen, and it moved very quickly across the sky. And what we ended up doing was taking a look at some of the metadata on my phone to find out how far apart some of my photos were, and my dad figured out some numbers on how quickly the object perhaps moved. And nothing that we have in our arsenal moves like that. And so we had come back to the house, and I had sent all the photos to my mom, and she put them on her iPad, and we sat around dinner and talked about it. And there was no laughing, there was no joking, and everybody really tried their hardest to put it together in a way that was rational, with a foundation of knowledge that we had. And collectively, we decided that I would have to file a case with MUFON, because if it was something of ours that was incredible and needed to be kept secret, we needed to find that out. And if so, I'm a patriot. I would be destroying those photographs. But our gut was that it was something else. So I reported it to MUFON, and they quickly responded that they would take the case on. And about 2 months later, they got back to me with the result that it was confirmed UAP, and that they would have me meet with STAR team members, which happened. And so during that, I learned a lot about MUFON and how it was organized. And originally, I didn't realize that there was a lot of method to their process. So they start out by confirming that there's, it's not that. First things first is that they confirm that your images are real. So my images were real. The second thing they do is confirm other aircraft in the vicinity, so it's not being looked at as something conventional. So they checked with the local air, and there was nothing except one plane that was on its descent.
Like a blimp or a Guppy, like flying around or something like that. Like the NASA Guppy. I know that gets mistaken a lot of times, and it flies around in that area.
Right. I mean, yeah. And so that also, they contacted 2 military bases. They didn't tell me where or any details on that, I can assume, because we know the 2 that are near there. And according to their radar, they didn't have anything on radar, and they didn't have any anomalies on radar. And they also didn't have anything up in the air. Well, they would have told MUFON, I'm assuming, because MUFON are like retired military personnel, retired weather people, interested parties that have connections. So when they say that they've done their due diligence, I believe them.
Right,
and
but depending on the high level of security and everything that could come in there, and if it's something that's there, do they get confirmation on radar of sometimes of UAP on radar when it has been seen?
Have they gotten confirmation on radar?
Cases,
I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So they did their due diligence, and part of the report was they gave me all of their report, of which I was like, can I share this? They said that I can share the report, but not their data. So really all their data was my images and then some math, basically the same math that we did where you peg where it moved and how long it took for it to get there, and some estimations on size and distance and things like that. So that, that was what they didn't want me to share, because that was their information that they had created. But that was the only part of my case that they said I wasn't allowed to make public, although I believe you can, if you go to MUFON's website, look at that, and I can give you my case number so everyone can go ahead and do that. Nice. I don't have it by heart. And so I will bring that up. Okay, so my experience with MUFON turned a corner when I met with Maureen Morgan, who is the state director for MUFON. Mm-hmm. She was working in conjunction with Dan Nims, who I believe is her counterpart, but also he was one of the two guys that was my STAR team case workers, if that's what they're called. So, I mean, over the next few months, I spent hours with them interviewing. They wanted to know a lot of detail about my family and how we responded after, how we were feeling during, and like a lot of the psychological portions of the experience. And I shared that. And that, I mean, that does get a little bit into the wooey stuff that I'm not real comfortable in, because I don't have any foundation of understanding it. And so it's been a personal journey. There's no one out there that can really,
Yeah. If you were to describe it as something
completely.
On a high level, the most generic way you could look at it, it's something that has been described as possibly the hitchhiker effect.
Yeah.
Of when people go ahead and see something this, whether it's you, your different people in your family, or whichever, there's this connection that we make along to things that we see that extends beyond normal understanding and almost into an area of quantum entanglement or quantum consciousness, for that matter.
Hey, MUFON, at the end of the day, are they just, I mean, they do great work, but at the end of the day, are they just anything more than a record keeping company? I mean, or do they do anything with the information to, like,
They do.
What I mean? Are they just like another net?
That's a great question. So 95% of MUFON's cases are closed as mundane, and 5% are UAP. That's pretty much how it's ended up being with all of their research. And so this is all information I learned through my contacts in there now. And so once that 5% is determined and they're in that barrel, that 5% is considered still an open case, and other MUFON researchers are given access to all that information and the witnesses, if the witnesses are open to that. So I was receiving contact from people with questions from all over the place, and their counterparts, which were university students, professors, people in physics, ex-military, current military, all kinds of emails from all kinds of people with great questions, not debunkers necessarily, some debunkers, which is fine. And I'm like, to be honest, I welcomed that, because this whole time, and even to this day, I am still hoping for a mundane explanation.
Yep.
Because this is not something I'm comfortable talking about, to be honest, at all. It's not something I even believe in after experiencing it, but it is undeniable, and so I'm accepting it, and so I'm able to talk about it and present it because it is relevant to what's going on right now. And if this happened the way we photographed and think it may have, it's incredible and needs to be shared. And so no matter how much it hurts me or bums me out to talk about it or makes me feel silly or whatever, I'm still going to talk about it because I believe it took place. You know, I know it took place. I just don't know what it was. And I wish it was something mundane. And I appreciate people that have come forward to help because, you know, I didn't know some of this technology was out there, that the Navy has holographic technology. I didn't know that. Could it have been that? No, it couldn't. You know, there wasn't anything below it. There wasn't anything above it. There was nothing but those objects. So some of the tech that people have offered to me as explanations just didn't hold water, but I appreciated the debunkers coming out and helping me to decipher what was real and what wasn't. So, you know, and I welcome it still. If anyone has any ideas, and originally I was hoping someone else had seen it since this was over such a populated area.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And how many times does that happen, you know, over that area? If you went there just one day out of, you know, I mean, is that just pure coincidence or does it happen often?
Right. Right. And I've been asked, you know, like how I felt about it, whether it was a positive experience or not. Like to me, this wasn't a great thing at all. I live with it still every day. You know, I have dreams that are attached to this and stuff, and it's not a positive thing in my personal opinion or in my family's opinion. You know, if I could have looked right and not looked left, I would have chosen that if I had the choice. But I did look left, and this did happen. And it's like anyone that considers themselves a victim of something, you can't just turn your back and pretend it didn't happen. And I don't feel like a victim. I don't want to use that word, but I'm just saying, you know, do I feel like I have PTSD from this? Yes. It's incredibly hard and stressful and emotional. And it's just a bunch of lights in the sky, you know? Like, that doesn't make sense that I would have such an emotional reaction to that. But
it's never easy,
the
is it?
fact is that I did, and other family members have too. The identical reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about seeing the location of where it took place and putting your mind back there again. If I were to go ahead and go back to the old place where I was when I grew up, I'm pretty much almost standing on the spot. I'd be like this though, looking up, and it would have been literally right up in the air, right in front of me. Those are the same trees that were there when I was a kid. There was a whole row of maple trees around one side, and there was that one tree I remember. There used to be a sumac bush that was kind of right there. It's gone at this point, but you see it, and it just brings back the memories and emotion, and all the different kinds of stuff flows back in. And let me get that off screen before I start getting there again. Yeah. Oh, Tim, we lost your audio.
Yeah, talking about it is not easy at all. And you know, I like to share the story because I know it needs to get out there, but yeah, I mean it definitely it triggers so many other things in me that I'm not real comfortable with. And I don't talk about just because it could be nothing. It could just be in my head. So you know, I don't like to acknowledge things that come, you know, that way. I'm not there yet, I guess.
Yeah.
I probably still have growing to do.
It takes a lot of time to get used to it and to understand it and to come to terms with it and fully understand how your mind has been opened and gaining a higher level of control as time goes on. Because a lot of times at first it's a bit overwhelming, but the more skills that you learn that can help you with your own level of manipulation and control of your consciousness through different forms of meditation. It's kind of like you have one technique you can layer on top of another and then layer another on top of it. And it almost gives you like that, you know, ability to go ahead in there and just keep on trying different ways. But yeah, you're a newbie in this one. This has been only going on for you, almost 3 years now.
Yeah. And then the weirdness kind of started, right? So about 2 weeks after I came home from this, I was at home and I got a phone call from the local television station here where I live in Oregon, and they had found my name on a roster from the union that I'm in, and asked me if I would help direct and produce a show with UAP and UFO as its topic.
Wow.
It's not in my resume. It's nothing I've ever asked for. But I started a series of witness interviews that had photographic evidence of some sort or video evidence. And so the other oddity was that the first 3 people I talked to had portals involved in their cases. They didn't have photos of it, but they did have photos of some of the objects that were involved, but not the actual portal. But just synchronicity, like incredible synchronicity. And I embraced that because I didn't tell the other witnesses that I had an experience. I was just interviewing, but their stories were so in sync. There's definitely a lot of correlation between things that are happening with people that I'm finding out, and I am producing a documentary it's gonna kind of show that thread that is woven between all of these cases that have similarities. Another important aspect is that, and I'll just say it, that in some of their cases similar to mine, that the light that they experienced, like you were explaining, Thomas, kind of had information, I guess,
Right.
a connection.
Wow.
Like whether you want it or not, it's coming. You're going to get this information, sort of experience for people. And I mean, it's not just a download; it's like a tether.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like
oh
for
yeah,
me, it feels like it's a string from a harp. And for me, I literally get a vibration that kind of comes to me along with it and everything else, and kind of helps me identify who it is I'm kind of dealing with. But yeah, it's definitely it's a tether. But the biggest thing to remember, it's not one way; it's 2-way. You're just not listening; you're also broadcasting.
not for me, or I
Yet,
mean,
not yet.
yeah. But Greg, is this anything that rings with you? Have you heard of anything like this before?
I've never. The only thing that comes to mind is Skinwalker Ranch, about the portal opening up in the sky. That's the only kind of even thing, something that comes close to this.
Yeah, and there's actually a movie coming out about something like that called A Terror in the Sky that's coming out, I think, May 15th. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's a phenomena that, as time is moving on, besides what you talking about it here and trying to share the images and things you've had of it, now we're going to have potentially something coming out that maybe has some scientific stuff to maybe go along with it. So it's kind of a
Right.
connection.
Yeah, and I have also encouraged my family, obviously, to talk about it and to do interviews, and they're not comfortable doing it, and so it in a public forum. So I have gone ahead and done the interviews and tried to put something together myself. So that is going to be available. And I don't really talk about it because some of the family members are young, and I'm not sure if I'm going to include it all because, it feels incredibly damning, to reveal this sort of stuff about yourself,
Yeah,
in
but
a
you
public
almost
way.
have to look at this, and you can look at it as a downing thing. You can look at it as something that's negative, but there's always a way to take something and try and see it as there's a positive out of this. There's an upside out of it. It's something
Right.
you're able to go ahead and reflect out of. And it's just trying to come to an understanding of what it is now, what it was then, and more importantly, what it can mean and take for everything in the future. And it's maybe there's a select few who do get this quantum entanglement with. And there's a reason for it more than we don't all understand. But the more of us who have it, who come together and freely and openly talk about it, the better the way there is an opportunity to take this and put the little pieces of the puzzle together. So there's less vagueness and of less of an understanding, because you may see it one way, someone may see it a different way, and those combinations of the perspectives may give something that's completely unexpected.
It's
That's
the biggest
just me
truth
trying to
that
be positive, but go ahead, Tim.
it's the biggest truth that nobody believes. It's incredible. Go ahead, Tim.
Right. Well, I was just going to kind of talk about something that I've never really brought up before, but you guys might know about it because I might have talked to you about it, Thomas, but publicly I don't talk about the woo side of it, but it's your audience and I respect your audience, and I'm going to just give it to them. And so I have a dream that, well, let me just start over. Every night I have a dream where I go somewhere, right? And it's always the same place, and the same sorts of things are kind of taking place there. And I don't get really restful sleep, but I'm able to get through, and I've able to live. But I've been writing all these dreams down and keeping track of them. And this place that I'm describing, in my dreams is always kind of the same place. And if I can kind of just describe it so you guys kind of get an idea. Do you think I should, Thomas?
If you want to kind of give a general overview, it's what you're comfortable with in, Tim.
Yeah. Well, the reason I wouldn't give out all the details is because I would want to know if other people have this without me muddying the water with my details. But it's basically like a university sort of setting where you're taught kind of, well, for me, it's flight, like I'm always flying. And my body becomes like a ship of light or something like that. And so it's pretty incredible sounding, but during the time, like when I'm in that moment, in that dream, it's incredibly real, and it's incredibly intense and visceral. And there's sights, sounds, and smells that I can actually wake up and still recall and describe. And sometimes they're as bizarre as like likening in an area to smelling like something sweet like cotton candy. Or other times, if I'm flying in space, there's like a smell of like almost ozone. Like I can get that in the moment, and I write that in my journal because that's something. So there's a lot of info that I'm bringing back with me that I'm writing down.
Yeah. And this is something started, just to clarify, this is something that started right after
that night.
Your encounter,
and so
right. And you never had any dreams or anything like this before in the past?
Never a repeating dream like that. No, and this has been years, every night. And I'm not the only family member that has this, so that's the other reason why I think it's potentially worth writing down. I'm the only one writing everything down, but I know my other family members are probably coping in their own way. But for somebody like me, that I'm a logical person, and I would like to just be like, okay, I had a traumatic experience and it was a new paradigm, and so perhaps this is a knock-on effect of that. It doesn't explain every night because, I don't necessarily think about my sighting every day, but I sure do wake up every morning with new knowledge, I guess, and I write it down or I'll sketch what I saw. It's always the same place. There aren't really people there. It's more like other like lights, because I'm a light in this dream as well. I'm not me. I'm a light, and I can kind of take on like an Oumuamua kind of feeling look, like but I can travel very quickly. Like, it's very hard to explain. And this is not something that I'm not a spiritual guy. I'm not I'm not like into the hippie realm of like, I like the Grateful Dead and sure, all that stuff, but I mean,
behind
that
you,
was
Tim, take a step to the side. Can I see the posters behind you really quick? Oh, not like into the Grateful Dead, and you have all the Deadhead posters behind you. Okay.
and Led Zepp. I'm just saying, like,
I know, I'm just giving you a hard time.
it's not coming from my LSD trips.
Yeah.
It's not a remnant of that. It's not like, because I know what that all felt like those years ago,
Yeah.
So I consider it something that I just have to deal with.
Right.
And I feel that it coincides with this because of its timing, literally that night and every night since.
Yeah.
And same thing for other
You
family
gotta wonder
members.
if it's something like Groundhog Day. Eventually, you're going to be able to figure out what are all the different things we have to get accomplished and get taken care of from one end to the other in order to make the thing wake up and it to end.
Right. Well, it motivated me to get completely knee deep in the topic, try and get educated on it, and look at it in a way that I can somehow still exist and coexist with that as a reality. Right. And so I have taken my filmmaking skills and started producing documentaries that are relative to this topic, interviewing witnesses that are going through similar situations, and trying to take the woo out of it, because I don't like that feeling, that I have over this. And so the more I take it out of my work, the more it feels like it's being taken out of me, and it's more just real and factual. And my story isn't really complete without this, unfortunately. And that's why your show's the first time I've talked about it, because I want your audience to get the full story on it.
Yeah.
And yes, there are other details, but I'm super new and not really comfortable talking about all of it. There's tons of detail. Like, I wake up with every bit of detail that I had from that dream. Sights, sounds, smells. I could draw it. I do draw it.
Do you have any journals or anything?
I've got 3 journals, bud.
And it's
Packed.
not just writing. Tim is a hell of an illustrator. And he's able to take a lot of the different stuff that he sees and documents it really, really well. And that's one of the things that impressed me by someone who's going through this. And he's doing a lot of the right steps and trying to figure it out. And that's the best way to do it, is to take the memories and everything you have on it, document it, get it there, and eventually try to put it together to find the connections that are there, but may not be obviously up front.
Yeah. And I'm sure I've probably turned your audience off to me now, because they're like, what is this guy talking about?
There's a
But,
bunch of new people in the audience tonight, Tim, and there's a bunch of the regulars who are here, and everyone has been, I'd say 99%, maybe one person is kind of from Team Goof On, but everybody else is here. They're supportive of the situation. They're coming out with conversation points to kind of go along with the situation that you're in. I guess as we're going through, there's been a bunch of little questions that have come across from the audience. If anybody has any questions at this point, put them out there in all caps, and we'll try and get them answered for you if I haven't done that during the interview, because it was a lot of good flow coming from Tim that didn't necessarily want to get interrupting or anything. But yeah, Tim, it's been a great conversation coming from Xavier Gamer. We love you even more. Your sighting is truly amazing.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate that a lot. It's not easy to talk about. The sighting is, I'm cool talking about the sighting. It's, the emotional attachment and kind of like, my family's reaction to it. That is hard to talk about, because that's a hard topic.
Yeah.
And I don't have evidence of it, and that's the other thing. The other thing, you would never have heard this story if I didn't have my phone that day. I would never have mentioned it. My family probably wouldn't have pushed it. I wouldn't have filed a report. But I had evidence.
Yeah.
And so that's the important thing, that there was actual physical things happening, and I was able to capture it with my cell phone.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah.
We've got some
What do you got
questions
here, Linda?
coming in from the audience. Let me go ahead and find our usual noises. Let's bring it in. All right.
Yeah.
Coming in first from Linda Thompson. She's saying, Tim, did you know MUFON would share your information with others?
I knew that it would be shared with others. Yes, I did.
Okay.
I was okay with that because
All
it
right.
was for research. So yes.
Excellent. Maybe that's how potentially someone contacted you about wanting to do videos on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, nobody has contacted me when I've reached out.
No, I mean, you've had people contact you. Remember, initially after the
Yeah.
sighting, had someone contact you about going ahead and doing a series about dealing with contactees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Major synchronicities. And then obviously, before I even did your show, I started watching YouTube and, trying to see if other people had had a similar experience. And I was really happy with the way the narrative was being moved forward by guys like Harry Reid and Luis Elizondo.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been a lot of people in history that have actually really tried to put this out there.
I've got another question for you, Tim.
Shoot.
Did anyone in your family go to therapy as a follow-up to this?
Yeah, no.
No.
For me personally, me writing things down is therapeutic. My family, and this is kind of an interesting question because every family member that saw this and went through it and is experiencing this is internalizing it differently.
Yeah.
And I know it.
Yeah.
Some of them have really tried to forget it.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
I can tell that they can't.
Yeah. Oh, I've got an idea. Let's talk about something. Remind me, we've got to talk about something after the show. I've got a brainchild idea. You never know unless you ask. Next question coming in. How can we get evidence? That would be a game changer. With the evidence we have right here, all Tim has right now is kind of photographs. So,
as a civilian, that was the best I could do.
Yeah.
In the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And I call it evidence loosely. It's just pictures without my story.
Yep.
Right? If you just showed somebody those pictures, they'd be like, that looks like a plane towing a banner.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, it does. But
Absolutely.
the
Now,
fact is that
pictures available from MUFON as well besides yourself?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Someone was asking, how can we get evidence? Is it something you have posted anywhere that people can go ahead and see? They can get it from MUFON. Can they get it from our Discord or?
Let's go ahead and I can give them my case number right now.
We can go ahead and put that in the comments. If you can go ahead and throw that in the chat, that would be great.
Plug it in the chat. You got it.
Yeah. Awesome. Just coming from Rob Heatherly, Robin Hood 1966. Tim is logical as I am. I have similar dreams. Interesting, coming from Rob. Maybe a great conversation point next time after the show. From Linda Thompson again. What was the date?
It was July 5th, 2019.
Nice. Coming from Booth Hemingway. Tim, I've never commented, but have been a dedicated viewer liker these past 6 to 8 months. This is one of the best conversations yet, no doubt.
Thank you for that. That's
yes,
super helpful to hear.
Absolutely. If we go to anything else, all uppercase, coming from Sally Van Devord, have you noticed an increase in any premonitions or psychic awareness?
Definitely.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. So I would liken it to the hitchhiker effect. Like, if you want to know about that, I think I might be the guy for that. And I'm only assuming, but by description, the hitchhiker effect is definitely happening with my family and me.
Yes, but I can completely relate to premonitions and psychic awareness. Yes, that's
right.
That's me.
So I'll go ahead and put my YouTube channel in there as well. But we're actually going to watch it, aren't we? I did have, and that was this in
Couple more
2021.
questions really quick, and we get to your video
Okay.
really quick. Last one. Does Tim
I
have
did
any
have a
issues with
premonition,
segmented
yes.
memories? I guess it's
What
memories
does
that are
that?
locked away.
Do I have any memories that are locked away?
Well, it's kind of, he's called it segmented memories. Maybe we can get some clarification what he means by segmented memories.
Oh, well, I can tell you this. I with those dreams that I'm having, I recall 100% of it.
Yeah.
There's no part of that that I would need to be regressed for or anything. It's all clear beginning to end.
Oh, meaning that here's the question. Segmented memories is meaning that when you're in that event place where you're at, you have a different memory that you can recall things back into. But I think
So,
you've
like,
actually brought stuff over from this into that to go look at things and do stuff within that area as yourself.
does he mean when I go back to Rockaway Beach, does it bring back other memories?
When you go into your dream state and you're in your dream state, do you have you tried to think about things, and do you have a different set of memory than you have in your waking state?
Yeah, no, it's like I have no control over
Yeah.
what is going on.
Yeah.
I have no choice. I'm just doing this thing.
Yeah. You're being put through something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Coming in from Jan, she's been around for a long time. Why did it feel so negative?
I can't really explain. It's just how you feel. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a feeling.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's absolutely fine. Let's see. Anyone else? I think that is all the that is all the questions right now. If we can, then you were saying you've got a video here that I know I can probably bring up.
And so this goes along with the hitchhiker effect, if it's a real thing, because I'd never seen stuff before. But back in 2021, only a few months ago, really, I was in my house. It was raining hard here in Oregon, and I had a feeling to go outside, and I walked up about, I live in a condo right now, and so 2 condos up, I just walked in the pouring rain and looked in between 2 condos, and there was a bright, obvious orb. And I started filming with my camera phone again, with my cell phone.
Let's go ahead and play this. Audio is off because I don't want this thing to crash. Hopefully it's not going to.
You only hear rain.
Right back, but let's
yeah.
I didn't give it a try. So you can see it right there. It's kind of off in the distance. And I have to say, really quick, this looks identical to the orbs we have over here. Almost identical. It's that orangish, yellowish, goldish light that's up there. It's moving at a constant speed. It makes absolutely no noise whatsoever. It's not flashing, or it's just constant, and it's...
Yeah, that was me zooming in or zooming out. There wasn't a visual flash or anything. And also there was rain, so there was rain hitting my camera phone.
Yeah, yeah. And this is you're running across.
But I walk down, and then I catch it as it floats off into the distance. And this acted like a bubble of light.
Yeah.
You can see it just floating off.
And just to verify, it's raining, so it couldn't be a Chinese lantern. It's not a plane, because you would see lights and everything's going along with it. If it was a drone, there would be flashing lights that happened as well. I mean, seriously, this is similar to the 2 that I've seen flying from here. Now, what direction is this flying? Is it going east to west, west to east?
Let me bring... I'm just bringing my compass up, and I can tell you, because it was just right here. So it was traveling directly from south to north.
You're going from south to north. The ones I've seen around here go directly from west to east, almost kind of coming from that Bangor area. Yeah. But
yeah, this was really obvious.
Going from north to south? Or south to north?
That's correct.
North to
North
south.
to south.
Could be heading towards
I'm
Bangor.
sorry, hang on.
You
No,
never
it
know.
started south and it traveled north. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. And so again, I had no business going out there. There was no reason for me to go out there. I mean, I have kids, you know. But if you want to start it from the beginning again, the very beginning of it is pretty awesome. You get a nice, clear view of it at one point.
Right there.
Yeah. I mean, that is so bizarre.
They
in
remind
every
me
way,
of
shape, and form.
scouts. You know what I mean?
I mean,
From like, I don't know.
I've never seen one before, and I've never seen one again.
Yeah, but the thing is, you just need to get outside and look more. It was the same thing my mom told me. The only way you're going to be able to see it is to get out there and watch for it every day.
I mean, it kind of swims, and it arced off into the distance, and it acted like a bubble. You know, slow and steady.
Well,
Kind of wavering
now,
here and there.
Oh, we do have another super chat coming in, I believe, from Eli McGinnis this time. Let me go ahead and kick that up right now. No message, no nothing. Just the super chat.
Thank you,
coming.
Eli.
Thank you, Eli. Let me go ahead and get that up on the screen. There we go. Thanks,
So-
Eli. Another $4.99. Let's go ahead and get this video back going again and the whole thing. And hopefully the music is not too loud. All right. So yeah, it's an amazing site that you've got going there, Tim. I mean, you've got multiple, and it's now one thing that was interesting you didn't bring up was that area when we were looking at with Bangor Island, right?
Yeah.
If we bring that back up again really quick and we go through it, one thing that's interesting about it is that this particular area, Bangor Island, where the nuclear weapons base is kind of over here, you had been talking to the head of MUFON for Washington. And what did she
Correct.
say about the number of sightings in this particular area?
Ramping up,
Ramping up.
actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't it like 3 or 4 times more than it was before?
Exactly. You're exactly right. And that is still continuing. I talk with MUFON pretty regularly still.
Yeah.
And if you want to bring up the map that I gave you, you can. I put an estimate down after I talked to MUFON because they wanted me to kind of
Sure, let me go back to that map.
give
I
them a
believe
diagram of my
There we go.
photos.
it's right there.
Yeah, and so the dot is me, and then the yellow is the angle, and all of those dots are basically each of the photographs that I took.
Oh, nice.
And then the green line that goes from the top to the bottom is my estimation of where it started and where it ended in my series of photos.
Right.
And then you can see that I just went with the ferry's estimation of how many miles it is from Seattle to that Bainbridge Island port.
right.
So you can estimate about 8 miles, perhaps, from, so with a cell phone, it's amazing that I captured this. So I feel lucky, that I captured the photographs, at least, so I did have that to hold on to.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah. Now, I'm totally hip to people like Mick West that like to debunk
Yeah,
hardcore.
it actually comes up from where you're
And-
at, Tim, to there.
Yeah.
It comes up as 4.77 miles, or 4.82 miles, actually.
Oh,
So there you go from Rockaway Beach, where you were
That's
at,
cool.
going to about the spot where it's at. It's 4.82
Huh.
miles.
Oh, 10 miles from. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
Because it curves around here, goes along
It does.
wherever it's
And
going.
that's
but
what
if you
they
just go
travel.
straight as the crow flies, 4.82. So it wasn't
Pretty
that far
cool.
away. But still,
Pretty
5
cool.
miles, if anything, something that's 30, 40 feet in length, it's, it's still pretty good size.
Yeah. And I mean, I get debunkers calling things birds and calling things other. I'm totally hip to that. I mean, I don't know. You could even say one of those saucers was a bird, and I'd be like, probably could be. But that just means that I didn't capture the saucer because we all saw it. But I think that the photographs did justice to the sighting. And if anyone ever wants to talk about it, I'm totally open to talking about it. I'm not at this point really trying to keep anything from anyone.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
there's some personal
I
details and everything that goes into it, though. But talking about the case and the type of stuff we're getting to today, that's
yeah,
why when we're talking about it, as we're listening, both Greg and I were trying to ask questions relative to the situation to try and help explore it. Because usually when you're talking about it, you're seeing it from one way, but it's also helpful to get those additional points of view.
details.
And
And
Tim,
I originally came out anonymously in my first interview, and I wasn't sure if I was going to come out
Yeah,
in public,
yeah,
but I did,
yeah. Greg, did
fortunately.
you want to ask something?
no, I just wanted to say, Tim, too, by you doing this, it's just going to set somebody else free to feel free to go ahead and share their stuff as well. So,
I hope so.
yeah, so feel good about it.
Cool, Greg, man. Thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all a team
Appreciate
here.
that.
We try to be in everything, Tim, and it's as we've been talking about the situation. Yeah, we were supposed to be talking about Salvatore's Pius's UFO patents and their space-time modifications, weapon testing.
Oops.
We'll have to hold that one on for Monday or next week because although it just came out, this has been a great conversation with you, Tim. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, and plus, Salvador Pius is going to be doing, an interview next week or two. So
Yeah.
that's going to be really, really cool.
So
I think it's first appearance ever.
yeah. So it's a primer to the situation, kind of talking about a case that's been around, someone who's been talked about for a while. I've equated him to, if you want to call it a modern day Zafram Cochrane. Interesting thing as we get into the technology and as we talk about it tomorrow, it almost seems like it's segmented. It was a lot of the military stuff is always done in compartmentalized testing. Get something to some point, another team takes it, does something else to it, another team takes it, does something else, and based on what I am aware of the patents and what they've done, it sounds like what they did is only part of the actual application and what they're trying to do. So interesting times to say the least as far as disclosure and stuff coming out on the overall phenomena. Let's bring Tim back into the spotlight. There you go, Tim.
Thank you guys so much for talking about this and making it easy to talk about. I've done interviews before, but this has been my favorite, and you've made it easy. And I appreciate your audience very much for accepting me
Oh, it's
because
our
it's a hard
audience.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I appreciate our audience
exactly.
and you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
It's great.
Your
They've
experience is
been really
amazing.
supportive of us tonight. They've had a lot of good
Thanks, man.
questions come across, a bunch of super chats throughout the day. It's great to be able to talk about a situation like this because anytime anybody goes into a situation where you are an experiencer and you have gone through something, whether you're just seeing something, you've been in something, it's something that's been following you for a period of time, there is that level of emotion and just memory and you think about it, it just plays back, and sometimes it can be overwhelming and be able to hit your body, and sometimes you just have to be able to, as I learned in Silva mind control a long time ago, be able to take some of that stuff, compartmentalize it, take it, put it on a box, and be able to deal with the situation at hand. And that's one of the reasons why I say every night, eyes open, no fear, be safe everyone, we'll catch you tomorrow, because we'll catch you on the flip side. That's what it's about, being able to get through a situation, to, like, you didn't have your phone and you were able to run and get it and come back and keep it going, versus just sitting there and actually just looking at it. Because you mentioned a lot of people go ahead and get mesmerized in this.
Great
Linda
awareness.
Thompson says, thanks, Tim. Mr. Ian, do not
Thanks,
concentrate on the Fessler, or you will miss all of the Heatherly glory. Not sure what that is, but way to go, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to cover on this, Tim?
Not really. We can dive into it anytime if you
Yeah.
ever have questions. I'm
got
totally
ya.
available to everyone. There are little nuances to it, but we did a pretty good job today.
Oh, heck yeah. A lot of good information, a lot of good stuff, a lot of a great audience, a great conversation. What a better way to spend a Saturday than hanging
Yeah.
out with friends, talking about the phenomena, going ahead and where did that go? There we go. All right, I just want to be able to get into my back end here. I need to be able to get into the YouTube back end so I can go ahead and.
Hey, Thomas.
Yes.
Your audience is wondering how they could potentially share their story here. Do you have a way?
Oh, cool.
We have a Discord channel. I don't know if Greg, if you could put an invite out in the chat for them. That's a way to do it. We could go ahead and create a conversation board for people going ahead and sharing it. I think that may be a good intro to it, and from there, if people are interested, and every so often we could bring some of the stories forward and talk about it with you, Tim, and Greg, and Rob if he's around, taking it to that next point, because everybody does have personal things that go out there, and sometimes it just depends on how much they want to have in the openware. And
you're a great host, Thomas. So.
Great chat, dude. See y'all next time, fellow Washington Galactic Realm travelers. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and pop up the happy music if we've got going from our super chat. Tonight we had a bunch of super chats come in, going in reverse order. Let's see, start at the beginning for today. Here we go with Spaced Out Radio, Dry Toast, Scott Jensen, and Eli McGinnis, I believe. That's everyone from today. Yeah, that's everybody. We had more, but anyway, I want to thank everybody for the super chats and everything we've had happen today. But more importantly, I want to thank Tim. I want to thank Greg for coming out here today. And on top of that, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. More importantly, the people we still have in the chat right now, I want to say thank you to Bobby McBobbin, Coin Exchange, David's Idea Channel, Eli McGinnis, Frankly Elliott, Dry Toast, Greg O'Brien, High Strangeness, Jan, Linda Thompson, Lady Margaret, or also known as Peggy, Isaac Kenny, Mr. Ian, Linda Thompson, Rob Heatherly, also known as Robin Hood 1966, Scott Jensen, Too Much Information, and Xavier Gamer. This has been one heck of a great way to go ahead and have a show and talk about a lot of fun stuff. Greg, we're able to get a link up. There's a Discord. Basically, it's a server you can go ahead and there's an app you can get, or a website I think you can go to, that you can go ahead and chat and be a part of the conversation of Disclosure tonight. I'm going to put that at the top of the pin chat right now for anyone who's interested. Feel free to go ahead and follow it. Greg just posted in the chat again. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight, and more importantly, as I always say, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone, and we'll catch you on the flip side. As in, we've got late night update coming tomorrow. Good night, Tim. Good night, Greg.
Good night.
See everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.